Hello and welcome to episode 12 of the Talkin' Ball podcast, a podcast where Jack and I talk ball. Jack, how's it going?
Oh, it's going great. First post-game pod. Thunder basketball is back. Super exciting.
Yes, and Thunder basketball was back in full force tonight, minus SGA and Lou Dort, of course, but the team played San Antonio at 7 o'clock tonight and won 112 to 107. Jack, what are your initial thoughts about the game?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, we didn't have Shea, we didn't have Dort, Kenrich and J. Will Williams were both hurt. So obviously it wasn't our full team that we're going to be seeing most of the year, but I it doesn't really matter to me. I mean, I was just as excited just to see most of our players playing again. I mean, it's just exciting that basketball's back in general. And just especially so this year, I think, with all the excitement around the team. So it was super fun just to see all these, um, because we've talked about this team so much all summer and um, how they would look together on the court with our new additions and everything. So it's just super exciting to see it all come together on the court and start to see the first look of what them playing together may look like.
Yeah, I thought something that was really positive was, even missing SGA, who's like the motor of the offense. I feel like we were still able to generate pretty good shots for ourselves. And I think the leader of that early was Chet. He was really aggressive, getting to the rim, getting to, his spots, um, mostly around the rim. He shot 5 for 5 tonight. He was 5 for 5 in 9 minutes with 10 points. He also had two blocks to add on to that. He just looked really aggressive and assertive tonight on offense, and I thought that that was something that they maybe have hinted at in the offseason about getting him the ball in his hands more on offense, and I feel like we saw that in those 9 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get to J-Dub later too, but both J-Dub and Chet kind of look like they're taking even the next step towards superstardom. And that's super exciting. I mean, early on, it was just so fun to see both of them and a lot of our other key players just playing together and playing really well. But like you said, Chet looked super impressive tonight. He left and went back to the locker room at one point, so that was a little concerning at first. But he was quickly back out on the bench. He didn't go back in the game, but I would assume because we haven't really heard anything and no one's really talking about it, it's probably something pretty minor and isn't really even an injury, or at least I hope so. Um, it's just with it being preseason, it's like there's no point in putting Chet back in. Like he wouldn't have played in the second half anyways, even if nothing happened. So um, like there's no reason to risk anything at all if he tweaks something or anything like that. So, but yeah, overall, just super impressed with how he looked today. I mean, we saw how much he was in the gym this summer, and so I was really excited to see how what looked different about his game going into this year, and it was super awesome to see how assertive he was, getting to the rim, defending. I think the main thing that stood out to me with him is he looked quicker, I think, just on offense and defense, being able to get past people to get to a shot or um, get to the opposing team's shot to be able to contest it, and he blocked a couple of them. So I think he probably took a step as an athlete, which will for sure pay off in his game in general.
Yeah, for sure. Like when he got injured, because up and down the court, he looked like he was hurting a little bit the way he was holding his arm. And I couldn't tell if it was his left wrist that it was hurting or if it was his gumdrop buttons because he was holding them kind of down low. And so I didn't know if he had just kind of got kicked down low or what it was. But he got checked out for a little bit and then, returned to the bench pretty shortly after. So uh, overall, I don't think that the worry factor is anything to, it's not anything to be worried about. But anyway, moving on. Let's talk about J-Dub a little bit more. Gosh, I just thought he was so incredible tonight. Like we said, without SGA, he kind of was at the head of the offense, and he was just really impressive. I feel like one of the things that he showed improvement on was his layup package. Looked like the way that he was able to finish through contact was really impressive, and also his three ball tonight was really impressive. He was 3 for 4 from three, and all those three pointers came within just a few possessions of each other. He was just letting it fly. Obviously, he had the first three of the game, but um, two late in the first half, like back to back, was just really incredible. So, what do you think about J-Dub?
In addition to that, and one mid-range jumper, almost at the buzzer of the first half. So I always love when J-Dub gets in those modes of just not hesitating at all to take jump shots like that. Kind of reminded me of his game against the Knicks last year when he kind of went off for 35, just not being hesitant to pull the three ball at all. And that's kind of been a subject of the offseason, just trying to get Jada more 3-point attempts because, I mean, we saw last year he can make them. So it's why not try to get him as many as possible because he's one of the most reliable shooters in the league at this point. If it's just the volume hasn't been there as much as most people at his percentage are shooting. So it's like Mark's talked about trying to get him more threes, and I could see that was a point of emphasis today. Not only his threes, but like you said, getting to the rim, finishing at the rim. He looked like he took that next step too. I mean, um, 3 for 4 from three. Like it's just super exciting when we're getting him those jump shots. And I think him and Chet, if if they can look like they did tonight and be stars alongside Shea, like um, this team has a lot of potential. So um, if I know those are guys that are kind of known for working a lot on their game in the off season and taking next steps every year. And so, if that's the case, this team could go far. So they both looked really great tonight. Loved what I saw from them. Um, I mean, J-Dub only played the first half and led our team in scoring with 18. So that was a really encouraging part. And just seeing them play together was awesome. And we rolled out the starting lineup of Chet and Dub, and then Kaysen, Wiggins, and Oos, which I thought was kind of funny. We kind of expected with Shea and Dort out to go with maybe Hartenstein and Caruso alongside Kaysen, Dub, and Chet. But I mean, an explanation I could think of is like we probably want to give these younger guys an opportunity anyways, like Oos and Wiggins and stuff, guys like that. But also, I don't think Mark wants there to be a lot of conversation around like, oh, the Thunder started Caruso tonight, so I guess maybe he's the starter, or like, oh, both of them started. Like maybe Mark does want to go to Chet and Hart playing together and make Chet a four all full. Like, I don't know. He just probably doesn't want to create storylines where there aren't really storylines because people will do that. I don't know if that's really something that went into his thinking, but all in all, it doesn't matter too much. It's a preseason game, so um, it was still really cool when Caruso and Hartenstein did go in the game for Dub and Jang, I think. Um, I think that was my favorite part of the game when Chet and Wiggins and Kaysen and Hart and Caruso were in together. That lineup kind of um I don't know. My thought when they were playing together was like, I don't remember the last time we had this much talent on one team because I was like, it's kind of overwhelming how many good and trustworthy pieces are all on the court right now and on offense and defense. And like, this isn't even all of them. Like, we have Shea and Lou aren't even playing this game, and J-Dub wasn't even on the court right then. And there's still further depth past that. So it's like, I don't know. And tonight just got me really excited because, like, with that lineup specifically, I think. things were flowing really well on offense and on defense. I mean, obviously, it was fun to see Hart and Chet playing together. Just the rim protection is insane. Um, and Caruso poked a ball out. So it's like that that was a really tough lineup to score on. I mean, we struggled on defense at other times throughout the game when there were lineups like I think at one point there was a lineup of Joe, Wiggins, Oos, Dylan Jones, and AJ Mitchell out there together, and that lineup kind of struggled on defense. And obviously in most of the second half when we were playing a lot of the guys that won't consistently be in the rotation, they weren't the best on defense, but when we were playing a lot of our main pieces, it was really fun to see how well already they looked like as a unit on defense specifically. And that's just the first game of preseason. They've never even played a real game together, most of them. So, um, what do you think of what you saw on defense from a lot of those guys?
Yeah, defensively, the thing that I noticed the most was just the active hands. I feel like this was the most active that we'd ever been on defense, and it really kind of went across the board. Like I feel like J-Dub was really active, Chet's always active, but guys like Case and Wallace, obviously Caruso when he came in, we were just getting deflections left and right. And I just thought breaking up the game and just dirtying up the game play will play into our advantage so many times throughout the season. So I think just keeping it physical, being active on defense is the key. And that's what I noticed tonight. But what I really want to get into next is just the addition of Hartenstein and Caruso. And we'll get into the other additions like Mitchell and Jones here in a little bit. But Hartenstein and Caruso, I mean, it was immeasurable what they added to our team tonight. They in their 17 minutes that they had each in their debut, they were plus 20 plus minus. I mean, Hartenstein in 17 minutes had 4 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, a steal and a block. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, that I can't even put into words how valuable that's going to be for this team. Caruso was equally as impressive, I thought. I thought he was a stabilizing hand on offense where he just made the smart decisions. Like he made really smart decisions. Like putting the ball where it needed to go. And then obviously, he got fed a few jumpers that he nailed. And so he scored 5 points, had 5 assists and 2 rebounds, a steal and a block as well. I was so impressed by those two. You know, the hopes were high going into the season, coming out of that off season, adding those two guys. Like, the expectations are there for those guys to step up. And having that sort of debut really gets me excited for the season even more so. But what did you think about those two guys?
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm with you. Obviously, like you said, we were really excited going into the season because we were like, on paper, it seems like these would be great complementary players. But I mean, just seeing them out there with some of the guys we already had, even more so, it kind of looks like we struck gold on kind of the perfect guys to go with our core. And I mean, we haven't seen them with everybody yet, but I mean, just the versatility from both of them. Like Hartenstein, 7 assists. Like who saw that coming? Like his passing was amazing. It was awesome to see him in the pick and roll with some guys. I mean, we saw some of that screening that we've heard about in training camp. He got a 3 up. We that has been a topic of conversation. It looked okay. Didn't fall, but yeah, he had great passing. It was awesome to like see a big body like that be able to protect the rim. We haven't seen that in a while on our team. Well, I mean, Ched is a great rim, but I mean like 255, like that kind of guy. And just seeing him next to Chet, I'm like, who is scoring on that at the rim other than Julian Champagny? But um, not many people. But yeah, it was awesome. I loved Caruso filling in as our slob guy with an awesome oop to J-Dub.
That was awesome.
Maybe that answers our questions of who's the new slob wizard. I don't know if he'll be a wizard, but that looked like a pretty wizardy pass. So
Yeah.
um, loved that. But yeah, it's just those are the type of guys you want on your team if you're trying to contend. Like guys that you can just plug in with anybody. They can understand their role and they can kind of help you do everything. Um, and we saw that tonight. So I'm excited to see even more of that. Yeah, just the versatility was the thing that stuck out most to me, and just how well things already seem to flow on offense and defense. Like the chemistry already seems like some of it's there already, which is encouraging. So I'm just excited to see them grow even more as they. I mean, this was just the first time they've played together, so
Yeah.
just excited to see them grow even more as they get more integrated in with the team. Um, yeah, other guys I want to mention. I mean, all three of our wings that have been with us in the past, Joe, Wiggins, and Wallace, they all look great today. I think the main thing that stood out to me with them three, um, was kind of their aggression. We kind of haven't seen a lot of that from them. I mean, they're great players, but a lot of their shots have kind of been like catch and shoot, other people like creating a shot for them. But tonight we got to see them have an added level of like creating their own shots, like seeing them like get to the rim or Kaysen take a pull up dribble three or Joe taking a step back mid range shot. Stuff like that. It's like that's kind of new and it's cool to see them expanding their games and those could really be added weapons if those things are consistent with them three and they're able to take that next step and be even more aggressive and create their own shots in addition to having the catch and shoot as part of their game as well.
Yeah. I mean, watching Case and Wallace got me fired up because he just seems like a guy that is also ready to take the next step. And he's just coming off of his rookie year, like he's still super young. But what I saw out there from him tonight really fired me up. He was very active on the glass tonight, which is one of the things, like he's one of the smallest guys out there when he's out there. Like he's 6'3", 6'4", and
Seven
he
rebounds,
seven rebounds. He, you
career
know,
high.
had the second most on the team. Like that's one thing that you can't necessarily teach is what Case and Wallace has, and that's just all out aggression. He gives 100% effort, which I love. And tonight he was awesome at just getting the rim on offense and getting to the rebound on defense. Like I really appreciated that from him. Another thing that I want to mention about Hartenstein was Hartenstein had my favorite plays of the night, which is it's kind of funny because in the past few seasons, we've kind of struggled rebounding the ball. That hasn't been our strong suit. And as a consequence of that, something that definitely hasn't been our strong suit is second chance points. And I saw in the second quarter, Hartenstein grab an offensive board over Mamukelashvili and threw in a pass to a cutting J-Dub who slammed it.
Mhm.
Like getting second chance points like that, like I mean, that was just, once the possession was all messed up because the missed shot and just getting the offensive rebound, kicking it inside for an easy jam. Like it's like getting those two free points after that, um, after the miss, which is just those are 2 points that we wouldn't have had last year. So I think it's just like adding those opportunities to this team is going to be awesome. Um, yeah, and like Hartenstein, 8 rebounds in 17 minutes. I mean, he's going to get a lot more volume during the regular season, which I think is going to result in a lot of rebound. Like, oh, and assist too. Like, here's a thought, and I'm just really, I think fired up is a good way to put it because I I'm just really excited. Um, After this performance tonight, could Hartenstein potentially be on triple double watch? In some
Oh,
of these games this season?
I mean, I could see it. I could see it happening. I mean, just. the guys he's able to dish out a pass to, and with his passing ability and offensive rebounding ability and being able to kick it back out, I could see it. I could see him dropping one or two, maybe more. But I mean, in particular, it was just awesome. There were several cool moments, just like him throwing dimes to there was one to Caruso that was stuck out to me. There was one to Chet. I was like, oh, this is awesome having two of these guys. But I mean, if we have a guy that's consistently getting 8+ rebounds, like in addition to Chet's 7 that he had last year, like that could make a huge difference because we were one of the worst rebounding teams last year and we were still great. So it's like sky's the limit if we're able to solve that. Plus the guy that brings all that rebounding is also so good at so many other things that help our team. So yeah, I don't want to overreact too much from a preseason game
Right.
where neither team really had their full roster, but it's hard not to be excited after seeing a lot of things we saw tonight. Yeah, you have any more on any of those guys we've already discussed? Because we can get into the rookies if not.
Yeah, I'll get into a little bit more into Joe and Wiggins. But yeah, I do think that this a really important thing that you just mentioned is not overreacting too much to preseason games. Very fair. It's like the same rule that we apply to Summer League. Don't get too high or too low about Summer League, or preseason. So I think you can definitely take what you saw tonight and see kind of um get a kind of idea of what players have been working on, how they're going to fit into the system, but don't necessarily see um, us beating the Spurs and thinking that we're going to be,
Hmm.
a better or worse team than whoever this season. So,
Right.
um, yeah, definitely don't get too high or too low about anything, except I am very high right now on these players. So the next player I want to kind of dive into, which we've kind of touched on a little bit, is Wiggins. I thought he missed a few bunnies that he would have liked back, and so if you add on two of those shots, then he scored in double figures tonight. Those ones he missed at the rim, take those out. Um, I thought he was tonight what he has been in the past, which is just a really smart guy that you want to have out there that's putting in good effort on both sides of the ball. Nothing about his game tonight um, makes me, want to go run down the street and scream, but also nothing makes me upset. Like I thought he just had an overall solid game tonight. Something about Joe which makes me excited is he clearly has the green light. He, Mark kind of talked about how the way that you know that a player can take on more volume is to look at their percentage. Um, he said two guys that he wants to give more shots to is Joe and Wiggins because they've been over 40% from three. And when guys are over 40% from three, they can usually take on a little bit more volume. And Wiggins being at nearly 50% from three. So, Joe, I felt like let it fly a lot tonight, which, he's 1 for 6 for three. So I feel like um, those shots are going to start falling. But I just thought it was nice to see him have the green light because out of all the shooters on the team, he's one of those guys that you just want to have some confidence. So um, I like Coach Mark and instilling that confidence in Isaiah. And I mean, he's 1 for 6 from 3-point range, but he was also 3 for 3 inside the arc. So I think that that's positive too. He's still getting to his spots, like you mentioned earlier at the beginning of the pod, of him kind of making a midi tonight, which he does have that mid range game as a part of his game as well. Which moves me into kind of my next grouping of players that I wanted to talk about, which it's like speaking of midi is Dylan Jones and AJ Mitchell. Both very, very impressive tonight. I think going into, and it's not like tonightness might change my thoughts completely, but going into the season, I'm not necessarily expecting Dylan Jones or AJ Mitchell to have like a huge role on the team. Um, like the team, and it's not anything to do really with them. It's that this team is, I think championship built, and can't necessarily afford to take on two rookies. And, like Jang started tonight, but he's not going to get nearly that burn in the regular season because of that. But anyway, Jones and Mitchell were just overall very efficient tonight, I thought. Dylan Jones shot 8 for 11. He was 1 for 1 from three, and AJ Mitchell was 8 for 13, 1 for 4 from the three. Like you have those two guys making 8 field goals. They both I feel like they both had a lot in common, which was just being aggressive and getting to the rim. I feel like that's kind of a rare uh trait for two really young guys like that. I mean, obviously, Dylan Jones had a lot of time at Weber State, but still young in this league. And I feel like they both really were assertive, and that was really good to see. Now, Dylan Jones obviously brings a little more physicality, which allowed him to amass 5 rebounds, too, which it was just really impressive. Overall, I just was so impressed by Dylan Jones shooting tonight, and I thought AJ Mitchell getting to the rim and getting to his layups was awesome. Do you have anything to add on about those two players?
Yeah, I mean, this is what the preseason's for, getting to give these guys a chance against real NBA talent and see what they've got. And they really impressed everyone tonight. I mean, I love what I saw from them. I'm glad they both got to play a lot. But yeah, like you said, Dylan Jones had 17 points, AJ had 19. Um, and their efficiency is crazy. Like this is, they didn't look like two later round pick or later pick rookies playing out there today. I mean, they're more experienced rookies. They both played a lot in college, and they're older guys. I think AJ's 22, and they might both be 22. But yeah, I mean, really impressive. Just AJ looked like a vet out there, the way he was able to finish at the rim and um, just some of those shots he was able to get in through contact was really impressive. And then Dylan's Dylan's obviously great too, just all his shot making ability. And I think just both of their shot selection as well was just really impressive. I mean, even compared to a lot of the other guys I was watching, just I was kind of amazed at the ones they were able to get to fall. And just um yeah, I was really impressed. They both just look really confident and comfortable out there, which is kind of shocking for kind of your first legit NBA game other than summer league. It's just kind of crazy that these rookies can look so comfortable and confident and kind of just play to their strengths. And um, it was really cool because I saw that AJ Mitchell's family flew in from Belgium to be there for the game, and so um, that's really cool that he put on a show for him and they got to see him do well. I mean, I thought there were a lot of really cool, memorable moments from this game, and one of those was kind of AJ's run at the end of the first quarter, I believe, or maybe it was the beginning of the second quarter, just where he went on a little run by himself, and that was really cool to see. I mean, there were a lot of cool moments like Chet's start to the game and J-Dub's into the half. But AJ's AJ's run there was one of those cool little moments as well. So yeah, really impressed with them. Like you said, it's kind of hard to envision them being a part of their rotation, just because of how deep this team is. Like if they were on like almost any other team, I could see them getting pretty consistent minutes, at least one of them. But um, there are guys that have been in the rotation in the past that I'm not even sure will be this year. So it's like going to be tough just to have enough minutes to go around. But um, they're going to get a lot of experience in the G League, and maybe early on in the season, we'll try to find some moments for them to get in there, especially if maybe Kenrich and J Will are still out for a little bit. Um, but yeah, nothing to do with them. I mean, I think they already look like guys that can contribute to like winning teams. Um, just maybe not teams as deep as this. But I think the Thunder are a team that still prioritizes trying to find a way to get guys like that experience, um, even in tough situations like having a lot of depth like we do. So I'll be interested to see what happens with them. I mean, AJ already seems like an early candidate to um, earn a real contract. So that'd be exciting if that happens. So yeah, overall, really impressed with both of them, and I'm kind of excited to see if they can keep it up throughout the rest of the preseason because they'll for sure get some more experience. Another guy that played a lot, especially in the second half, was Usman Jang. He played a lot, but this was his chance. Or all the preseason is kind of his opportunity to get some more run. It doesn't really matter who we put out there. So just get to see more of Us and get another look at him. He didn't look great tonight, from what I saw. I mean, the thing about Us, it's like in theory, he's like the idea of him is such an exciting player. It's just you really hope he can make that next step and actually come into his own and find a way to really contribute. But um, I hope he figures it out. And maybe that's just a different situation for him other than this team. But um, I don't know. There were he had some moments, but overall, it wasn't super impressed by anything I saw from him tonight. But love the guy anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, I have some Usman thoughts.
Okay.
My Usman thoughts are I thought that he looked better than he has in the past. The problem with that is he set the bar very, very low in the past.
Right.
So, like I feel like he has set the bar very low in the past so that anything he really does that is not turning the ball over every time he touches it is going to be somewhat an improvement. But all jokes aside, the serious things that I have noticed about Usman's game tonight was his improvement in physicality. I thought he looked physical tonight, especially in the two blocks that he had. Those both came really early. If that's the one that he's getting credit for, because I saw that there was some discrepancy on who got the block. But anyway, in the first quarter, he had two pretty stiff rejections, which I thought was kind of out of character for him. And I mean, he's got a huge frame. He is huge. So you'd like to see more plays like that. Six rebounds, I like. Two assists, I like. A steal and two blocks, awesome. He's got to get those turnovers down. He led the team with three turnovers. Um, along with Chet, who had like three turnovers in the first like 5 plays, but
Right.
that's what it is. And then um, you know,
Stepped out of bounds and traveled.
right, and then the other one was a miscue on throwing it down low to Wiggins, I think. Um, but like the thing that's just not going right for Usman Jang is getting shots to fall. Like, and his shot form looks awesome too. Like he has one of like the nicest forms of anybody on the team. And so if it could just fall on a consistent basis, then we'd be talking about a whole different player right now. So it's just a little alarming because the elephant in the room is that that needs to start clicking. This team is not a team that's going to sit back and wait for players to be good, to start being good. So, um, he's got to figure it out. If he's going to be able to contribute to the team, then cool. I bet they would love to have him. But if he's not, then you've got guys like AJ Mitchell. You've got guys that like Dylan Jones that are brand new into the system. You've got Hartenstein Caruso. You've got guys that are being integrated into the team that are going to demand minutes eventually. Hartenstein Caruso are going to demand minutes immediately, but like I'm more so getting at like guys like Mitchell who played less minutes tonight than Usman Jang. Played less minutes tonight than Usman Jang, made seven more field goals, scored 17 more points. Um, so like I don't know. It's not a bad problem to have if you're the Thunder when you've got so many good guys on the roster that deserve spots. Like it's not the worst problem that you could have. So, those are my thoughts about Usman. I think he's getting better as like a natural development curve could probably tell you, but like I don't know if it's at the speed that's going to keep him on the Thunder. Obviously you and I both want the best for him because he seems like a good guy, but man, like it's not clicking in the way that it needs to. And right now is when it needs to. Like you can't guarantee that he's going to get 25 more minutes for much longer. Like
Right.
there's only so many preseasons, there's only so many summer leagues, there's only so many like games that you are going to have a chance. And so he's had a ton of chances, summer leagues, preseasons, you know, throw him in at the end of a regular season game to show something. And he's not.
At the
He's
same time, though, it's a hard situation for a guy like him because coming into the league, we knew he was a project. Everyone knew he was a project. Um, and the best way to develop those kind of guys is to like get them in real games consistently. Like the best way to be better at contributing in an NBA basketball game is to be playing NBA basketball games. And with a team like this, who's so deep and who is contending, there's not a lot of chances in those moments. Like he's looked great at times in G League games and won the Finals MVP, and he had some good summer league moments, specifically probably 2023 summer league. And um, but when you're not getting in consistent, meaningful NBA games against other good NBA players, then it's hard to develop to be good in those situations if you're not really in those situations a whole lot. And so it's hard to develop a guy like that when you're also so focus on winning and so many guys that are actually like contributing actively to your current team that are going to help you win. And so um, I feel like he may be a little further along if this was like if this was a tanking era, like if he was on the team a few years earlier, maybe and getting consistent time every single night against NBA rosters, maybe he would have a easier time developing. But um, it is kind of hard integrating a guy like that with a team like this. Um, but not to say, not to say he shouldn't have it figured out or anything like that, but Um, it's just harder to when you're not getting as much real opportunity because there's only so much playing against guys in summer league can do for you and stuff like that. But um, yeah, it's just tough because if he develops into the player we think he can be, I think he'd be great for this team. Um, and it's also tough because so many people have written him off already, but he's only 2 years into this, and no one really thought he was going to be a great player 2 years in anyway. It's just because the team is where it is, there's kind of an urgency factor, like you were talking about, because there's so many great players on this team that are ready now. And it's kind of like if you're not ready now, you might get left behind because there's so many other options and we have more draft picks and stuff like that. So um, I think in a different situation, he could really thrive a lot more. Um, well, I would love to have him around and um, just keep him around until he's good. It's just this team doesn't really have as much patience right now as other teams may have because they're trying to win right now. So they're trying to figure out who should be on the roster to give them the best chance to win right now. So
yeah, like, and I feel like Trey Man and Poku also fell victim to that a little bit, where they maybe just needed a different like place to go to because I don't really feel like they were going to be contributors here necessarily. So I don't know. I think Usman, like if I'm the Thunder, I see what Usman can be. Like they've always seen that vision from when they draft him, and he's still one of the youngest people on the team. And so if there's no urgency. If there's no urgency to move on from him, then I don't think you do necessarily. I don't really think that the Thunder are going to be too eager to add anybody on or trade anybody like at the deadline. I don't. I genuinely think that this is the most championship built the roster has been in a long time, maybe ever. And if there's needs that present themselves throughout the season, then obviously the Thunder could take action to address that. But I'm just saying right now, if today was the trade deadline and Usman is not necessarily performing all that well, then you could just keep him on the end of the bench and still give him more time because he's not necessarily going to hurt you by being down there. He's not going to get any playing time anyway.
Yeah.
Um,
Maybe the Hornets will come calling one day though, but we'll see.
if the Hornets offered, let's see, if the Hornets offered Grant Williams and a second for Usman, would you take it?
No,
No, I wouldn't either.
we'll just
Um, I think you still invest in that chance that he becomes what we both, you know, we see
right.
the potential. We see the potential.
Yeah,
You know, hard not to when he's winning Finals MVPs out there. You know,
exactly. Does anyone else on our team have a Finals MVP?
doesn't Hartenstein?
Oh, yes. We have two
Uh,
G League Finals MVPs.
yeah. See, Hartenstein didn't click right away either.
Right. And you see how good he is now. He's on Jang's on that Finals MVP track. So,
Yep.
one other guy I want to mention is Alex Dukas. Um, I didn't go into this game thinking I would probably need to mention him after the game, but I liked what I saw from him on defense, which is also not what I would have expected to be saying about him. I didn't know a whole lot about him. I still don't know a whole lot about him, but I liked what I saw from him tonight on defense. I kind of thought of him as probably just like a shooter because I think that's probably a lot of what he was in college, but um, he didn't really actually impress me that much on offense. He went 2 for 7, 1 of 4 from three, and it kind of hurt to watch his touch at the rim. But it was it was cool to see him making plays on defense. He had 2 blocks, 2 steals, and it was cool to see him like actually trying to contest with these guys. Like this is a guy he didn't even play summer league. He didn't even know if he'd be in the NBA right now. He didn't get drafted, and he got a chance. And this was truly his first action against um, the pro level, and so he came into this game and went out there trying to be aggressive on defense. He was jumping with guys at the rim, and that led to him getting dunked on once. But he got 2 blocks, and those were really nice. And so, if he keeps being aggressive on defense, he could really do a lot of things for the blue. So,
Yeah, that was also my takeaway from his game too, was I thought his defensive fundamentals were just there. Like anytime that somebody drove in on him, I feel like he was straight up and he was just, a stout rim defender. Which is especially impressive from his 6'7" frame. Like he's 6'7", but I really do feel like he kind of played bigger than that on defense where he could contest a center. Um, Another thought about Usman Jang and kind of the others is it's like, man, if only Usman Jang could just assert himself in the way that AJ Mitchell did, like just try to slash and get to the rim effectively. Like, if Usman Jang had 4 layups tonight, like we'd be, maybe saying, okay, like maybe he could be more effective. I just don't think. Like I do feel like he looked more aggressive on defense. I just don't think he necessarily looked more effective on offense, and that's kind of where I want to see him. And I have seen flashes of that in the G League, but that's my last comment on Usman is just I think that that's the next thing that he can add to his NBA game. Like he did a lot in the G League with that, but like if he can be more aggressive against NBA talent, then maybe that's the turning the corner for him. So, next. let's briefly touch on the Spurs. I think Champagny had a game tonight that is worth commenting on. He looked like a really good floor spacer for Wemby. Like when Wemby, uh, like obviously Wemby was out tonight, but like when Wemby gets into the game in the regular season and is going to demand a ton of attention, he's going to need players like Champagny to space the floor for him. Champagny knocked down 6 3-pointers. He was 6 for 13, which I think is a pretty impressive clip. Like that's an efficiency that you want of somebody that's getting 13 shots up from three. Like 6 of 13 is not bad at all. Um, so I really thought that Champagny was uh really solid tonight. 22 points. He had 7 rebounds and a steal. But the other player that I wanted to touch briefly on was Sandro Mamukelashvili because I think he'll be like some sort of like a backup role to Wemby, and I just thought that he looked like he had taken a leap from last year. Not that I watched a lot of Sandro Mamukelashvili last year, but I think that he seemed like a serviceable big man in the league. This is a preseason game. Like I definitely understand that, but um, I genuinely do think that Sandro Mamukelashvili can be something like a role playing center. Like I don't think he's a star by any means, but I liked his floor spacing ability along with his physicality. And I don't know. I think the Spurs in a few years, like with Trey Jones, Keldon Johnson, like I think a lot of those guys. I don't know. I like them. I like them. That's all I'll say.
You just wanted to say his name a bunch of times, I think.
Sandro Mamukelashvili, Sandro Mamukelashvili, Sandro Mamukelashvili.
All
Um,
right.
one more thing I'd like to add about Sandro Mamukelashvili is here's like kind of a bad take from me. In the 2021 draft, we were pick 55 in that draft and we're getting closer to the pick. And um, I don't know where exactly it was during the draft, but we're like somewhere in the early 50s. And I am crossing my fingers hoping that we draft Mamukelashvili. And I think he might have went like the pick. Uh, yeah, he went the pick before us to Indiana, and I was so bummed. And um, I was so bummed. Oh gosh, we got Aaron Wiggins. Oh, we could have we could have had Mamu, but anyway, it worked out for the best.
What could have been?
Yeah, he would not have a role on this team. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. He
He
probably
might
won't anymore.
he might be a OKC Blue MVP.
Nah, that's Oos.
That that's that's his jam. Okay, also another thing that's kind of crazy to put into perspective is um AJ Mitchell played 24 minutes, scored 19 points. Steph Castle played 19 minutes, didn't have the best game. Like I didn't feel like I feel like AJ Mitchell and Dylan Jones were the best two rookies that played tonight.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. Like, why would you not want to play Castle like 30 minutes tonight? Or at least more than 19. Just give him more of a chance, see what he's got. I feel like this is kind of the time to do that. Unless they think he's gonna be like a big part of their rotation this year, and they kind of want to lay off on those guys that are actually going to play big minutes for him in the regular season. But I don't know. This draft class is weird.
Yeah.
There's a lot of those really young rookies that are just gonna take some time and not play a whole lot at first, and then kind of see what they turn into. But um, my final thoughts on the game, just overall, again, loved what I saw from a lot of the guys. Was really excited about how things already seem to look just a week into the team being together. just after 1 week of training camp practices. And so that makes me even more excited for what they could be towards the end of the season, going into the playoffs after a whole season of playing together under their belts, and even more experience and development. I think guys took a big step this summer, whether it be our stars or our role players. And I think the new guys are really integrating themselves very well with our other guys, and they're kind of the perfect complementary players for us. And so I'm overall tonight, I think just watching them made me super pumped to see this team play some real games. So I hope we get to see the whole team play on Wednesday. I'll be there at the game in OKC against Houston. So it'd be fun to see Shea and Lou play, but maybe if they play, that means we rest some other guys, but I don't know. We'll see. Maybe we were saving the whole team for a home game, but I don't
Yeah.
know. Do you have any other final thoughts before we do our player rankings to wrap things up?
Yeah, so the last thing I wanted to do was I kind of which I haven't even pitched this to you, but I kind of wanted to make this a routine or a tradition is I wanted to pick a player that impressed you the most tonight. Uh pick a player you're gonna give your star to for the night. It can be in any way that you'd want it to be.
Like who do I think was the best player in the game, or just someone that impressed me, like because of who they are and what I would expect from them?
Like an a Riverwind player of the game doesn't necessarily mean the best player of the game. It could just be a guy that had a really great game.
Right. Okay. If that's the context, I'll give it to AJ Mitchell. Um, he scored 19 points. He looked really more experienced than a typical rookie would. I loved what I saw with his decision making and finishing at the rim. So I'll go with him.
I'm gonna give mine to Isaiah Hartenstein, which I think there's a ton of great options. Like I think that that's a great choice as well. But Isaiah Hartenstein in 17 minutes, just what he was able to do with 4 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, a steal, and a block is just all around stat stuffing and what we need. Like, we just need somebody that can go out and do everything like that. Like, that is just so exciting to me. To even think that he could be a triple double candidate at some for some games. Obviously, it won't be every game, but I don't know. That's just really exciting to me. But overall, great game. We enjoyed covering the game. We're gonna move into our Thunder player rankings. Um, we're excited for the season to start so that we can, this is our first game that we've been able to ever talk about on the pod, so that's exciting. So we're excited to recap more games soon.
Yes. Okay, today will be quick. We just have 5 players to rank. We're going to continue this until we're finished. We're almost finished. But if you're new here, at the end of each episode, we rank Thunder players of the past based on these 5 categories: stats, impact on winning, personal opinion, longevity, and culture. We give them a score between 1 and 10 on each of these categories, and then average those together for an average score out of 10. Then, based on those scores, we'll have a complete ranking of all the Thunder players um, that have ever played for us from best to worst. So, today we have all the guys that played for us in the 2012-2013 season, but not any later than that. So, Ronnie Brewer is first. He played 14 games for us. 10 minutes a game, 1.3 rebounds, almost an assist, half a steal, 26% from the field, 20% from three. Those are not great, but I'll give him a slight boost for the rebounds, 1.5. Impact on winning, he didn't play a whole lot. He probably wasn't a part of the consistent rotation. I'll give him another 1.5. Personal opinion, I don't really know a whole lot about him. I don't remember much, so I'll give him a 3.5. Uh, or is that kind of low? I'll
I
give him
think
a
that,
4.
yeah, that's
Lon-
fine.
Longevity, uh, 1. Culture, again, don't really know a whole lot about Ronnie, so I will give Ronnie a 4.5. So that gives him a 2.5.
Next up, we have DeAndre Liggins. DeAndre Liggins played 39 games for us that season. He scored 1.5 points, 1.4 rebounds, and had zero point 0.4 assist, half steal a game. Um, those stats are mid-city. Let's go to impact on winning. 1.5 is fine. Personal opinion of Liggins. Actually went on to have a pretty good career. Like he played for the Cavs with LeBron. That's one of the things I remember. He played on the Pelicans. I remember that. Um, yeah, I don't really remember much about him other than that. But he probably is like a 4.5 on my personal opinion meter. I don't really think about him ever. Um, longevity 1.5. Culture 5.
All right, that gives him a 2.9. Next up is actually a pretty solid player, Kevin Martin. We got him in the Harden trade. He just played that year, 77 games, 27.7 minutes, 14 points a game, 2.3 rebounds, 1.4 assists, almost a steal, 45% from the field, and 43 almost from three. Those are really good stats. Someone in similar range. Let's see. I'll give him a 7. That seems fair. Impact on winning. He was actually a really big part of that team. He played a lot. Um, he was really solid, and that was a really good team. Um, I will give him a 7.5. Personal opinion, I really liked him during that season. I remember I had a little fat head of him on my wall. Uh, it was like 3 inches tall, but um, I'll give him a 7. Wish he stuck around longer. Longevity. What do we what do we do for guys that are just with us for a year like that? Like a
Carmelo.
7. Wait, not a 7.
Yeah, look at Carmelo.
I'm trying to find Gallo here. We gave him a 3. I like 3. I'll give him 3.5. That was a long playoff run. Wait, was it? Or was that an injury year?
Yeah, I think that was an injury year. Like that was the year I think Westbrook got hurt.
Yeah. Culture. Uh, I'm sure he was great. Seemed like a stand-up guy. I'll give him a 6.5. So that gives Kevin a 6.3.
Way to go, Kev. Next up we got Daniel Orton. Do you remember Daniel Orton?
Yeah,
I don't.
barely, barely.
Yeah, I don't. I don't remember a thing about him. I'm actually gonna just Google a quick picture of him, Daniel Orton, so I at least know who I'm talking about. I feel like that's respectful.
I
Okay.
think he was a little stubby, if I remember.
Yeah, I mean, s seems a little stubby, I suppose. Okay. Now that I know who I'm speaking to, Daniel, okay, Daniel played 13 games for us. He scored 2.5 points, 2 rebounds, and had zero point 0.3 assists, zero point 0.3 steals, zero point 0.2 blocks. Let's give him a let's give him a 2. Impact on winning, we're gonna go with a 2. Personal opinion, I didn't know you, Daniel, until a second ago. I apologize about that. If you're watching, I'm gonna give you a 3.5. Longevity, we're gonna give him the Ronnie Brewer treatment. And then culture, he's probably fine for the culture. Let's give him a 4.5.
All right. He's a 2.6. And then our last guy for today is Eric Maynor. He played 4 years for us, 183 games, 14 and a half minutes a game, 4 points, a rebound, 3 assists, 40 from the field, 36 from three. These are solid numbers. He wasn't like a huge contributor, but he played a solid role off the bench for a long time. He was kind of our backup point guard, or maybe more of a shooting guard. He was kind of a combo guard. But he was fine. I'll give him a 3.5 on these stats. Impact on winning, I think I think he had a little more of an impact than these stats may say, and also he was a great consistent part of a lot of good teams. I mean, this was a really great stretch of 4 years here, a lot of growing and a lot of winning, and he was also a notable name to have in the locker room as well. Um, I'll give him a 5 on that. Personal opinion, I really like him. He's now on staff with the team as an assistant coach. So I'm sure he's great, and I'm sure he aligns a lot with the Thunder culture, and has a great basketball in mind. And that kind of is proven by the fact that they would hire him and bring him back after playing with us for that long. I'll give him a 6.5. Longevity, he was with us a long time, 4 years. Um, I'll give him like a 5.5 on that. And then culture, like I said, you kind of have to align with Thunder culture if you're the type of guy that's going to get brought back on staff and um, stay in a bench role for 4 years and um, contribute in a lot of ways for a lot of years. So I'll give him a an 8.5. Um, so that gives him a 5.8 overall. Shout out Eric if you're watching. Um, So that's all our players for today. We can put them in here with the rest of our guys we've ranked so far and kind of see where they fall in our rankings. Um, there we go. So Kevin Martin's there at 25 between Oladipo and Dion Waiters. Anthony or Eric Maynor is 31 between Anthony Morrow and Carmelo Anthony. And then way down here, Liggins is 93rd between Darius Miller and Paul Watson. Daniel Orton's 99th between Steve Novak and Jared Butler. Ronnie Brewer is 103 between Ilyasova and Diakite. So that wraps up today's rankings. Um, we now only have, let's see, 30 more guys to rank, it looks like, or something like that. So we're getting down to it.
All right. Well, thank you guys for watching episode 12 of the Talking Ball podcast. We really enjoy making these podcasts for you, and we're really excited that the season is just right around the corner, 2 weeks from Thursday. So we're going to make sure and keep getting content to you guys because we love talking about the Thunder, and we really appreciate you guys watching. Jack, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, thank you guys, and it was really fun to watch the Thunder basketball game tonight. We're back, so yeah, great game, and we'll talk to you guys about the next one.
See ya.